Yes, I just assumed it came from the farm. But
Call the meeting to order.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I want to convene as the Walworth County Planning and Zoning Board. Is there any old business? Any new business? Okay, got a motion on the floor. I need a second.
I'll second.
Got a second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passed. You want to convene as the Walworth County Board of Zoning Adjustment. Is there any old business? New business? I take a motion.
So move.
Got a motion on the floor. I need a second.
Second.
Got a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passed. You want to convene as the Board of County Commissioners. I would take a motion for the resignation of Dave Seaman.
So move.
Okay, I got a motion on the floor. I need a second.
I'll second.
A second. Any more discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passed. Okay, I need a motion to appoint Davis Martin as County Commissioner in District 5.
I so moved.
Okay, I got a motion on the floor. I need a second.
I'll second.
Got a second. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passed. When?
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Davis Martin,
I, Davis Martin,
having been appointed
have been appointed
to the office of County Commissioner
to the office of County Commissioner
of Walworth County, South Dakota,
of Walworth County, South Dakota,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution of the United
the
States
Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of South Dakota,
and the Constitution of the State of South Dakota,
and that I will faithfully
and that I will faithfully
and impartially discharge
and impartially discharge
all the duties
all the duties
of my said office
of my said
of
office
County Commissioner.
of County Commissioner.
I'd need a motion to approve County Commission minutes of January 8th, 2019 meeting. You had a chance to go over them?
I shall move.
Okay, got a motion on the floor. I need a second.
I'll second.
Got a second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passed. Does everybody have a chance to go over the claims?
I move for approval.
Okay, I Okay, got a motion on the floor. I need a second.
I'll second it.
Got a second. Any more discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passed. Okay, number 17. This is what it come up with the board appointments.
For Schilling, we have highway, building maintenance, purchasing, landfill, Northeast Council of Governments, 4-H complex policy committee, Holgard, jail, building maintenance, War Hawk emergency management, Northeast Council of Governments, weed board. Schlomer, highway, jail, insurance, investment, finance, and purchasing. Martin, North Central Regional E911, ambulance, Regional Aging Council. Hauk, ambulance, 504 task, and ADA, North Central RC&D. And for North Central Regional E911, Davis Martin and Kurt Rostern. Emergency Disaster Coordinator, Amanda Silbernagel. Veteran Services Officer, Leo Rookie Jr. Warhawk Emergency Management Coordinator, Ted Schweitzer. Family Assistance Coordinator, Brenda DeToy. Purchasing, Rebecca Krein, Nyla Moak, Schilling, and Schlomer. Insurance, Rebecca Krein and Marion Schlomer. Northeastern Mental Health, Phyllis Pudwell. Personnel Policy, Schilling, Holgard, Schlomer, Martin, Hauk, Krein, Bowl, Batten, Thomason, Moak, and Highway Superintendent, which is vacant. 504 task and ADA is Hauk, Krein, non-elected employee Deb Call, Veteran Service Officer Leo Rookie Jr., and County Handicap Representative at Large is vacant. Building Maintenance, Schilling, Holgard, and Batten. 4-H Complex Policy Committee, Schilling, Krein, and the Highway Superintendent. Television Translator District is Phyllis Pudwell. Medical Equipment Committee, Walworth County Representative Brenda DeToy. Selby Legion Auxiliary Representative Phyllis Prasick. Java Legion Auxiliary Representative Lois Wolf, and Selby Lioness Representative Florence Karst. Weed Board, Kevin Holgard, Ralph Ravenberg, Jason Burns, Scott Zambo, and Darren Thorstensen.
I guess if you want to talk about them, just give me a call and we can go from there, I guess. But that's what I look like wanting to do changes right now. Okay, number 18, consider motion to change contingency transfer of $1,191.90 from 101-411 to 101-441.
On this one, there was a bill that was entered incorrectly to poor relief, which should have been mental health. And so when we did the contingency transfer, we did it to poor relief, and it needs to be changed to the mental health budget.
Okay, I'll take a motion for that. Okay, got a motion on the floor. I need a second. Got a second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passed. Nyla.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Just got my monthly report, same as always, and then I got a couple extra pages for the end of the year. So the first one is the end of December. Second page is the CDs that we have with the various banks. The third page is receipts that we received from taxes for the year, which have been the bottom number there in the corner, $7,952,907.19 in 2018. And it shows the year's taxes that it was due on that report. The third and fourth sheet are the inputs. That's for 2018 only. There are some older ones out there. And the last page is the distress warrants. which we did give to the sheriff, and they're working on collecting them. Anybody have any questions on those?
For delinquent taxes, are we getting close to the 3-year period now, or are we still working on that?
We're there now.
We are there now.
The certificate has to be put on, so 2015, we put the certificate on. You have to wait 3 years, so in December we could start them. Well, I've got the list here to start them. I gave you that list also in 2019. That's going to be our next topic discussion. Can we get this one approved and then go on?
Motion to approve the treasury report.
Okay, I got a motion on the floor, I need a second.
I'll second it.
Got a second, any other discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay, motion passed.
Thank you. Then I've got a list of tax deed properties. On the top, the first 12 there are new ones for this year. And then we've got 3 of them that are on treasurer's trust payments. The middle one doesn't have a payment plan at this time. And then on the bottom half there, I just need that to be reflected in the minutes not to take properties with those treasurer's trust. If that looks fine to you as the commissioners.
This will go in the paper on February 1st or something like that. Yeah.
The ones that we're gonna start taking, I'll put them in February, in the middle of February.
Middle of February.
Right. But I want it in the minutes to reflect the ones that you guys are approving not to take this year.
What's the rest of the commission feel?
We do have the payment plan for all these.
Well, the bottom 3 are barred by statute. And the other ones have a plan. I did talk to Scott yesterday about a couple of those. I don't know if you want to touch on those.
Not this time.
Okay.
Is that the rest of the commission wants to do with the top ones there?
I'm for it.
The second item in the third, group of 3 on the top page there, and then down in the bottom one where it's barred, that's 2 different properties for that.
Correct.
Okay.
You mean the one with the same name there?
Yep.
Yes. The one you have a treasurer's trust set up for. The other property you do not.
But he has been making payments.
As of the end of December, he was current.
If so, I take a motion.
So moved.
Okay, got a motion on the floor, I need a second.
I'll second it.
Got a second, any more discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed say nay. Motion passed. Thanks, Nyla.
Thank you.
want to consider motions for 4 requests.
Josh went to grab
Yeah.
Brenda.
Hi, Brenda.
Good morning. On page 2, I see there's a correction right in the middle under case M 2018-A1. Those recommended actions would correlate with case 15-A1 and 15-A2. I must have had happy fingers. And for M 2018, the recommended action would be to deny application. Yes, we do. And you would have to make, I believe, a motion for each one first with discussion, and then I believe your vote. Am I correct, Mr. Mayor?
I just start out with case 14D, and then entertain a motion A, and then second discussion, and then vote to deny.
I'll make a motion for case 14D to deny the application.
Okay, I got a motion on the floor. I need a second.
I'll second it.
Got a second. Any more discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passed. Okay, need a motion?
On 15A, do you want to just go through each one of those, Brenda, and then what
Okay.
the recommendation is?
On 15A1, the application was made, and we were actually, could not find information until we actually had to do a deposition. The individual did qualify for assistance, and this was an emergency. So at the beginning, we had denied it because we did not have information. The suggestion is, the recommendation is that we pay the Medicare rate of $2,737.36 to Vera St. Luke's Hospital, along with 15A1 would be added. I have both cases totaled together, but there would be an added penalty for, how do they call that?
You mean if we litigated?
Well, even if we do pay it, they will be adding a taxable disbursement. As of June 6th of 2018, it was $410.67 for that, and a 10% interest till June 16th of 2018 of $2,118.26. They're combining cases, and this is for cases both 15A1 and 15-2, and Mr. Nelson is saying that it is $21,182.66, whereas Medicare rates after Medicaid rates after having them done would be $2,737.36 for 15A1, and then $8,043.06 for 15A2, for a grand total of $10,780.42. That
Total again?
the Medicare rate total would be $10,780.42. And then, of course, you know that they're going to put taxable disbursements on there that pays for the court reporter, the deposition, and any papers that were filed from Mr. Nelson's office, and the 10% interest would then be calculated on that total. I have them done by, had them done and certified by South Dakota Medicare Office, DSS. So if we go to court on it, I would have to say that he'd have to accept those. I'm not sure he will. Just because we're coming up with these numbers does not mean he will not take us to court in a civil matter. And then it's out of our hands for a decision, you know, then it becomes what the judge says. And you can do everything right, but sometimes right's not in your...
And still lose, yeah.
You know, and we've been there before. So when I look at 15A1 and 15A2, my suggestion is that we pay the 15A1. Mr. Hare and I have talked long and hard about 15A2, and it started out with unauthorized pre-scheduled procedure, which ended up going into more and the hospital stay. As it was a serious event, it was not life-threatening as our South Dakota codified laws say. But then on the other hand, this one could go either way too as far as being paid, and Mr. Hare and I have talked about it. The individual would qualify for assistance for this. So now comes the deal, and I don't know where Mr. Hare feels about that. For sure, I think we should pay 15A1. 15A2 is kind of up in the air. We could end up going to litigation for it.
I would pay 15A1. 15A2, I would recommend that we table, and Brenda and I can brainstorm a little bit to see if we can reduce our exposure and then maybe cut a deal on that one. That would be my recommendation on those two. So we would need a motion
I'll
to...
make a motion that we pay 15A1 in the amount of $2,737.36.
Okay, you got a motion on the floor, I need a second.
May I interject here a minute? It would not be for that exact amount. There would be, remember, the taxable disbursements would be added, and there would be interest added to it.
Plus the taxable disbursements and interest.
I'll second.
Okay, and I got a second. Any other discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passes.
And then 15A2, I would recommend let's just move that to the next meeting.
Do we need a motion on that, or?
No, because there's not been any suggestion. And then if you want to go on to 17P, Brenda.
Okay. 17Q was an application for core leave was made by Vera McKinnon Hospital. It happened to be an involuntary mental health hold. This individual does qualify for Indian Health Services, was denied these services in the letter I received from Vera McKinnon, was denied these services because the individual did not follow up and apply for Medicaid of South Dakota. The individual also lives in McLaughlin, which I believe is Corson County. I know there's that line there, I get confused. And was brought to the Mobridge Regional Hospital by Standing Rock Ambulance. Mr. Nelson is asking Walworth County to pay $14,000. The Medicaid rate is $999.45 because at that time, per day, you could only charge for any kind of treatment, any kind of medication, and a place to stay. The statute said it was $499.95.
Brenda, did you 14,000 or 1,400?
1,400, excuse me.
Okay.
The actual amount they're looking for is $5,118.95. Oh, no, that's wrong. Sorry, that part is wrong there too. Cross that off. I recommend that this one gets denied. It's not our county, and individual has insurance and chose not to follow through with their insurance. The reason why they're coming to Walworth County is, again, we get into where the statutes say that if it comes from the referring county, we have to pay and we have to get our money back from the other entities. My question on this, and this would be for Mr. Hare, counties that have tribal reservations on them use the White versus Califino, where it says right there in the law of the language that it is up to the federal government to take care of any Native Americans and not for the counties to be paying. I don't know if they've been successful with that or not. By statute, it would fall back on us because it was a referring county, because they did bring to our hospital, which happens to be in Mobridge, and not to their hospital. I always have a problem with this because I always think that, you know, how would it seems like it should go back to Corson County and be there because it is their in their county, but because of the tribal thing in there, there is the confusion. If we do pay this, this would actually come out of mental health. And then we could try to bill Indian Health Services for it, but chances that they would have the funds available or would pay the funds are pretty slim. It's kind of a tough fight, and other counties have this same problem. So that's information I have for you.
Okay, I'll need a motion for that.
I'll make a motion to deny 17Q.
Okay, I got a motion on the floor. I need a second.
I'll second.
Got a second. Any more discussion?
My question is, if he's got insurance, why wouldn't the insurance pick it up?
Because the insurance says that Indian Health Services work where this individual needed to apply also and follow through with applying for Medicaid of South Dakota, because the individual could qualify for some help from there. And so that's how their insurance works, and because of
So it still falls back on his responsibility to apply, and if he doesn't want to do that, why should we pay for it for him being lazy?
I agree, but
Okay.
But like I said, when it comes to, this is something Mr. Nelson is asking us to pay, and I'm going to assume is going to become a civil matter. I did actually converse with somebody at Avera McKinnon and explained that this person was brought in by the Standing Rock Ambulance, lives in McLaughlin, which is Carson County. It's not even our county, just happened to be our hospital. But because of what the statutes say, as the referring hospital, if the other counties won't pay, and they're not having any luck going to Carson County and no luck with Indian Health, because Indian Health Services said they needed to follow through and apply for that Medicaid of South Dakota. And I think that's because they find that there is a large group of individuals that would qualify for more going that way than Indian Health Services. The way I understand Indian Health Services to run is that, you know, there's a set amount of money, and that's it every year. And so, you know, how that goes is a lot of times they'll deny, and a lot of times hospitals and other entities tell me it's because that there is no funding, or they didn't follow their protocol. And so now they're coming after us for the money, and they can, because we were the referring county for the involuntary mental health hold.
This happens all the time.
We deal with it, it's continuous.
We got a motion on the floor and a second. Is there anything else to discuss about that? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passed.
The next case, M 2019-81, was an application for poor relief. It was made from Avera St. Luke's. You can see the amount.
Is that the same as the 15? You said that was 15A1 and A2?
No, the top part is right. The recommendation is wrong.
Okay.
It was for $7,297.52. I did send a letter inviting them to complete the application and furnish the information to determine eligibility. Our response was never received. Therefore, we are unable to determine indigency as defined by South Dakota Codified Law 2813-1.3. I suggest that it would be denied because we are unable to determine medical indigency as that term is defined in South Dakota Codified Law 2813.13.
I'll make a motion to deny.
Okay, got a motion on the floor and a second. Any more discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passed.
A4 is another application that was made to Avera St. Luke's in the amount of $16,821.24. Again, letter was sent with all the information of what they needed to bring, my telephone number. Please call me, we'll set up an appointment. I've even spoke with Mr. Hare about this. I sometimes will come in later and stay later so they can go to their job and meet somewhere afterwards, or even met at Burger King on a Saturday before. But no response was received. So again, I'm asking that you consider denying this application.
I so move.
Okay, I got a motion on the floor. I need a second.
I'll second it.
Got a second. Any other discussion? Here none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passed.
A5, again, another application for poor relief. This in the amount of $5,431.53. Again, a letter was sent, no response was received. I would ask that you, I would recommend that the application be denied because we were unable to determine medical indigency as the term is defined in South Dakota Codified Law 2813-1.3.
So moved.
Okay, I got a motion on the floor. I need a second.
Second.
Got a second. Any more discussion on that? Here none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passed.
A6 is an application for poor relief in the amount of $6,000. Again, a letter was sent. Nothing was received back. Recommended action would be to deny application because we were unable to determine medical indigency.
Yep.
As the term is defined in South Dakota Codified Law 28-13-1.3.
So moved.
I got a motion on the floor. I need a second.
Second.
Got a second. Any more discussion? Here none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passed.
A7 was a poor relief application for the amount of $3,154. Again, a letter was sent, no response was received. Recommended action would be to deny application because we are unable to determine medical indigency as the term is defined in South Dakota Codified Law 28-13-1.3.
So move.
Okay, I got a motion on the floor. I need a second.
Second.
A second. Any other discussion on this? Here none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passed.
A8, an application for poor relief was made by Vera St. Luke's in the amount of $15,000. Again, the letter was sent, no response was received. And also there is the fact that this was also a voluntary mental health hold with no prior authorization. We are not required to pay those by law. We are only required to pay the involuntary. If you are a voluntary mental health hold, you need prior authorization. I would first off deny the application just because we're unable to determine medical indigency as the term is defined in South Dakota Codified Law 28-13-13.
So moved.
Okay, I got a motion on the floor. I need a second.
Second.
Got a second. Any more discussion? Here none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passed.
A10, an application for poor relief was made by Vera St. Luke's in the amount of $4,463. Again, a letter was sent inviting them to complete an application and furnish the information needed, and none was received. It was also a scheduled procedure and unauthorized, and they did not wait for the authorization. The procedure was scheduled for the next day. I personally spoke with the individuals themselves, plus the individuals that were helping them, and we went through the whole thing, and the individual knew that without a doubt that this procedure would have to be scheduled so I could bring it to the county commissioners and get it authorized. So the application should be denied because this was a non-emergency procedure with no authorization according to South Dakota Codified Law 28-13-27, subsection 2.
I'll take a motion for that.
I so move.
Got a motion on the floor. I need a second.
Second.
Got a second. Any more discussion? Here none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passed.
A11, it's It's an application for poor relief, again, from Avera St. Luke's Hospital. This is in the amount of $15,000. The letter was sent inviting them to complete that application, and again, no information was received. Therefore, we were unable to determine medical indigency as defined by South Dakota Codified Law 28-13-1.3. The recommended action would to be deny application.
So moved.
Okay, I got a motion on the floor. I need a second.
Second.
Got a second. Any more discussion? Hear none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passed.
A12 was the application for poor relief made by Avera St. Luke's in the amount of $50,000 for services. Again, the letter was sent inviting them to complete the application. No response was ever received. Therefore, we were unable to determine medical indigency as defined by South Dakota Codified Law 28-13-1.3. Recommended action would be to deny this application.
I shall move.
Okay, got a motion on the floor. I need a second.
Second.
Got a second. Any more discussion? Hear none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passed.
A13, application for poor relief was made by Avera St. Luke's in the amount of $80,000 for services provided. A letter was sent inviting them to complete that application. And again, we did not receive, I received no response and therefore was unable to determine medical indigency. Recommended action would be to deny application of A13 because we were unable to determine the medical indigency as that term is defined in South Dakota Codified Law 28-13-1.3.
I'll take a motion for that.
I shall move.
Okay, got a motion on the floor. I need a second.
Second.
Got a second. Any more discussion? Hear none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passed.
The next one is A14. The application for poor relief was made by Avera St. Luke's in the amount of $75,000 for services. A letter was sent inviting the individual to complete that application, and again, I received no response. Therefore, was unable to determine medical indigency as defined by South Dakota Codified Law 28-13-1.3. Recommended action would be to deny application A14 because we were unable to determine medical indigency as that term is defined by South Dakota Codified Law 28-13-1.3.
Take a motion for that.
So moved.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor. I need a second.
I'll second.
Second. Any other discussion? Hear none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passed.
Thanks. That was a long list today.
Just because some of these, in these big dollar amounts, are denials right now, does not mean that they may not turn into payments somewhere in the future. If Avera can track them down, get a deposition of them, or get the paperwork submitted, it may turn into a bill. All of these are non-Medicaid rates, so we would be able to code them down most of the time to Medicaid rates, which is about a third of what the actual bill is. But just because with all of these on the unable to determine medical indigency, may all come back. So just
Are these all separate individuals?
Yes,
Yep.
sir. Some of them are individuals that might have 2 hospitalizations. There is one on there, but they were different dates. It requires a whole new file, a whole new letter, a whole new process.
How should that work if they don't give you the information right away? Why should it be that they can later on and at their convenience?
that's how the statutes are set up, that
Really?
they can,
Sounds like something needs to be changed.
a lot of times on these emergency situations, they don't collect a lot of information, or the individual isn't willing to disclose a lot of information, and then all of a sudden or they tell the medical provider false information. Do you have insurance? Yeah. Or I'm covered by this or that. Then they have the obligation or the opportunity, whichever way you want to put it, to track them down. They can track them down and get them in here and then determine that they're medically indigent. we may have to pay.
I just added them all up and roughly, we just saved $273,000.
As of right now, yeah. That's
But
okay.
remember, those are not the Medicaid rates
No, I
that
know.
they're
That's
reduced
what they're
down
asking
to.
for.
Absolutely.
And we become the last place, so it's like an insurance. I've been having some trouble and been talking to other welfare directors. Used to be I always got the insurance, the pink slip, like if it was being sent to you and it was your insurance, and you get the pink slip showing the amounts and all the codes, and that's what would go to you and then go to your insurance. Well, we're not getting those, so I'm like, well, why aren't we set, because I need to have them coded, because the rates change. Every 6 months, those rates change in the hospital, they change in mental health, and they change in the DSS, Dr. Speed coding. So I'm working on getting a bunch of that, and I'm not the only county that's having trouble with that. But it is complicated, it's tangled. Always remember, we're not in our best selves when we go in, but there's also, I'm sure, a lot of people that are trying to avoid. We have a lot of wrong addresses, a lot of wrong counties, and the mental health one is a stickler because we end up, because of statutes, but they are working on it. Last year when I went to convention and I'm signed up to go, again, I've given it to Becky for the welfare one on, I believe it's the 14th. They were looking for a team of people, and they wanted to work on getting those statutes rewrote and bringing them up to date with the things that are happening now, because actually we only have one state hospital, and that's Yankton, and then it would be Aberdeen, which is usually always full, and then it would be Sioux Falls or Rapid City. And so, of course, Aberdeen, Sioux Falls, and Rapid City want more money, and they want that daily rate to change. So right now, first you have to make the sheriff's office first has to make a call to Yankton to find out if there's beds. If there's no beds, and they get taken to another facility, then we can use those state rates. But if not, then it changes a little bit. So they're working on it. I don't know, where they are. So hopefully when I go this time, we'll have a little better answer where that is. And then before we leave Poor Relief, I have a few questions. I've received a couple of phone calls from people that I had signed since I started this, that I have signed agreements to pay, and they're paying the county, and now they've gotten letters from the collection agency saying they want a full set amount.
You can just advise them to call me, I can get it canceled on the collection.
Okay, I kind of wasn't sure about that. Also, Becky today is going to talk to you about, I noticed on the Poor Relief side there was a bill for $1,191.90 turned in there for services and fees, but that will have to be put into the mental health category, because that was not a Poor Relief bill, it was a mental health illness bill.
We already addressed that on number 18.
Perfect. Last thing I have for you, I just want to give you a little bit about what's happening for Medicare Part D for 4-H. We did 2 days in Mobridge this year. We saw 42 people total. We did a day in Selby and we saw 15 people. I saw 20 plus people with appointments that came into my office. So roughly a total of 77 people with a few more added in there. Savings for the 20 people alone that came in with appointments with me was $19,194.67. The savings for the 3 days, 2 in Mobridge, 1 in Selby, was $34,110.16. The total was savings to our county, to our elderly who are on prescription drugs for this coming year was $53,304.83, which is a huge savings. I have a lot of people that have been making appointments lately, just started Medicare, wanting to get some information, which I have, and a place where they can call and that, you know, to get started. Trying to debunk some of the myths. People are always surprised, and we saw this year. It happened 4 times and we couldn't help them, where somebody was not on a prescription drug plan for 8 years and now decided they might want to get on a drug plan. Well, the premium for the plan that we found was $30. The penalty was $33 roughly for every month for the rest of their life. So then comes that thing, you know, well, nobody told me, nobody this. So Shine is also trying to help educate people that start on Medicare so that they realize if they don't take Part B and don't have a credible supplement, they will, when they do take Part B, they will be penalized 10% every month. Right now, I believe the least amount that comes out of there for Part B, it went up to $154 a month that it is deducted from your check. If you have a higher income, of course, it's a sliding scale fee. It could be $364. But if you don't take that, and if you don't have credible insurance, because they'll ask for that piece of paper to find out if that insurance was credible or up to par, you'll pay 10%. And nobody realizes, too, that if you don't take prescription Part D, that you will be penalized every month at a certain percentage. Sure, it can be anywhere from 25 to 35 cents a month, but for most of these people, it's 8 years times 12, you know, and then you get it figured out, and it's a lot of money. Also, a lot of people just are not sure when to start looking into it. They think if they get a hold of them on the month that they're going to collect, that everything will be in place. That is not so. They need to start ahead of time. And so that when November 1st rolls around, and that's their birthday month, everything will be in place and in order. So it's been an interesting year this year with lots of questions, trying to help get people squared away. But what a great program. I know that all these people have been pretty thankful. We saw a lot of new faces, and the word is spreading. I'm currently working with 2 people right now that are getting ready to start Medicare. So-and-so told me to call you because you know how to do this. So, you know, I can't sell them insurance for a supplement or a Part B, but I can help them with guiding them where they needed to go and how to compare apples to apples, and also being able to find that prescription drug plan. So, any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
We'll see you.
We have 2 abatements. One we talked about last time, it was a tax property number 5898 that the county took. And so we thought we should just go ahead before we sell it and everything gets going, just get rid of it and pay off the taxes that are due on it. And it comes to $4,301.62.
Okay, I'll need a motion for that.
Is that a Homebridge one?
Okay, I got a motion on the floor. I need a second.
I second.
Got a second. Any more discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passed.
The other one is number 8437. This guy was in earlier this year and had, he should have had owner occupied for 17K18, but it was after equalization time. So we approved it for 17K18 and abated like half of his last half of taxes, so that was taken care of. But we couldn't do 18K19 until we had a tax bill for it. So that's what this one is for. And his taxes were $3,414.70. We need to abate for owner occupied $1,263.07. That's at New Everett's.
Okay, I'll need a motion for that.
I so move.
Okay, I got a motion on the floor, I need a second. I got a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passed.
That's all I have.
Thanks, Deb.
Yeah.
We got any more of these abatements coming? I thought we was done with all these abatements.
We'll never be all done. I mean, it just, it happens. We do have one more coming. I just don't have the paperwork coming yet. This one is like
We
taxes.
got that one, I was cleared off all the stuff in there.
Yeah, but the new ones come on.
Every time we take a property, we're gonna have to abate the taxes on it before we resell it. Then we take whatever proceeds we get, put it back into the county coffers, and hope that it covers the taxes.
And the Douglas one, we had talked about before we knew it was coming, we just had to wait till the tax bill was generated to even sign off on it.
Thank you. Number 23, the Highway Department. The committee, we interviewed, it was 5 people, and we did some thinking and everything about it, and who we came up with to appoint as the highway superintendent would be Blake Friend. I'd take a motion for that to appoint him.
So moved.
Okay, I got a motion on the floor. I need a second.
I'd second that.
Got a second. Any discussion on that?
Any particular reason why, just so people know?
Well, like I said, we went through, visited with him at length, and we just felt that he was going to fit the bill the best. That's how we determined it.
Does he have any experience in that?
No, but he's got, he was a lot to do with the roads and that, even in previous, before when he was working, but yeah, it's going to be a learning experience for him. I guess look at it, everybody, you got to learn something new. But that's who we felt was the best candidate for the job. Anything else? Not, I'd take a motion to appoint him.
Yeah, motion and second. Vote.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Motion passed. Okay, I need a motion to approve a probationary increase for Chad Perman of 50 cents.
So moved.
Okay, I got a motion on the floor. I need a second.
I'll second.
Got a second. Any other discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion passed. Okay, I need a motion to surplus some tires. 3 11R 425s and 6 17.5 by 25. Need a motion for that.
I asked Dewey about that, whether it was disposal or to sell, and he said that they trade them back in and get credits on future tires.
I suppose they can recap them or whatever, or something, possibly. That must be what they're doing. I'll need a motion for that.
So moved.
Got a motion, got a motion on the floor, I need a second. Got a second, any other discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passed.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
On this pod discussion, when I came in last time, I had only about half the information. I talked to a handful of people in between now and then, and it's under our best interest to probably not sign a contract with Joanne. It just seems like there's a lot of issues in the actual pod that need to be resolved, and if under a contract, we won't have the flexibility to do so. So it's my recommendation that we leave it as is and not sign a contract, and to keep the money for supplies and to do what we want to do with it, so. That's all I have.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks, Amanda. Josh?
Good morning.
On your arrest deal, is that where you take them into jail? Is 29 part of the 54?
That could be a summons, Kevin. They don't necessarily go into jail. That could be warrants. That's a combination of different things.
Is that your department, or does that include Mobridge?
That's ours. Mobridge is not included with my stats.
Our inmates. The work release for those are inmates or out-of-county inmates?
Work release right now, there's one, and that's in out of county. He's sitting for, is it Jackson County?
One was Jackson County and one was ours.
And we collected $2,300 for them, from them.
Any other questions on those?
we no longer have any BIA inmates?
That's correct. BIA or US Marshal.
They're all out of there now?
Yes. The last of the US Marshals left Saturday afternoon because of the storm. They couldn't get here Friday, so. Anything else? On those? Hearing none? Move on to the next bullet item with the chairman's permission.
Well, I think, Josh, let's talk just jail right away. Instead of mixing with jail and boarding, let's start with one thing first.
Okay.
Let's talk jail.
Okay. As far as, are you asking me that question, or are you just opening up for everybody on that? Okay. Right.
I guess I'm just going to start a little bit with a little bit I've been doing. I said I was going to check on my idea of a jail, and this is just what I did, is I just made a size of a building, and I determined that by that, the building, the new part that we have over there, and that would be demoing the old part and adding a 30 by 56 building there, just talking of, and going with truss build, the cells that they build down there. But anyhow, what I came up with, and it's just a building. It's a concrete floor, footings, and a building. And to demo that old part would be $360,000. The only reason why I did that is because just something to go off of on some point to use if we were going to do something like that. I said I was going to get a price, but I mean, I know we figured probably about $25,000 per cell, give or take. You know, but I'm just saying, got something to work with there. But that's what I come up with on that part. You know, I know there'd be bathrooms in there, I know that, but I mean, it's not items that are, you know, $500,000 is what I'm getting at. Of course, you're gonna have the power coming in, you're gonna have water, but they're not items that are hundreds of thousands of dollars is what I'm getting at. But I just said I was gonna come up with a price, but it's not as a total package, it's a starting point. I visited with Josh about that. That's what I got for that part. I just wanted to throw that out there to show you guys what I did, and I think it's a good starting point. Don't be afraid to say something on it.
So the $360,000, you said was just for demoing the old part?
No. Getting rid of the old part and the new building. But I mean, I'm not saying like there's windows or anything. I'm not saying that. I'm talking, it's a building. Because we know just by visiting with Trust Built, they said get us a building we could put inside of it. They put their cells in it. I figured there'd be either a drive-through or drive-up for a Sally Port or whatever you want to call it. That ain't the right word, whatever. But, so I figured there'd be a big door there so they could come in and do that. But I just got a price on what a building would be sitting there. And then we can do with it what we want.
So that price, does that include Trust Built?
No.
No, it doesn't include the
I said
cells?
trust bill, we think are about, I visited with Kevin a little bit, and I don't know, I think it's around that 25,000 per cell, that's for two people. I mean, I think I'm close in price, would you not say, Josh?
I believe so, yes.
That number sticks in my head. So I'm just saying that, just say for 10 cells, you know, that's $250,000. I mean, it's just, they're just figures, but I don't think I'm far out of line on them figures. Only I'm saying is I think that you can, not 10.5 million, not 5.5 million. I think you could, if we choose to go something like that, it's just what I have in my head, but I mean, I know you've got stuff in there, like I said, you got offices you got to put in there. There's just things you got to put in there, but I figured you got to start somewhere on it. That's just in my vision of having if a guy's going to have a jail, something that's not going to cost the taxpayers a ton of money. And I think it'd still be nice. I don't think we've got to build a Taj Mahal for anybody. I felt that if a guy would put up a steel building, I know it's done, you know, and then to make it look decent with the new old part. Always have a problem with that roof on that thing. I guess your contractor, Marion, but I figured a guy could just put a roof right across that to kind of tie the two things together. Like I said, it's always been an idea of mine, not these millions of dollars being spent. So,
What size did you say?
I think the new part is like 56 feet wide, and I went 70 long. I chose 70 because I was just looking at Trust Built when they were in their diagram. They just showed how much room for cells. That's how I came up with that number. So, you guys can tell me I'm crazy, I guess whatever, but I mean,
Well, we've been around this, the horn several times on this, and it's all about compromise, and I think we all understand that. We all know that something needs to be done. We've said it here at board meetings. I think it's worth checking into that in our discussions, and thank you, by the way. I've had several discussions with all of you throughout the last week and a half. Thanks for the meeting from you guys. I appreciate that. Those are the kind of sit-downs and talks that we got to have. I talked with Scott yesterday when we first had the chance to meet on this, and we did talk about, we spent a lot of money with the current contractor, you know, from the last go-round. Me and Commissioner Schilling had talked about trying to run those numbers with Lee, if he's willing to, you know, and see what we can do. Like Scott said, it's not Taj Mahal. We don't need a Taj Mahal. It's it's made for inmate housing and control.
I'll just be very blunt about it. I'm not an architect. I'm never going to be. But I just think that if a guy could talk to the right person, and like I said, it's just my idea that's in my head. I definitely would like some input from you guys. Call it crazy or whatever, you know, if that's what you think. If you think that it's not worth looking at, I mean, but
I've never been opposed to taking a look at it. I'm just, what are we gonna do in the meantime?
no, that's why, Kevin, I thought let's just work on this and then let's go to the next level. Because otherwise we're gonna be sitting here flip-flopping back and forth, talking about the jail, talking about, let's just stick to one thing.
And we want to talk about that.
Yeah.
That's there, but it's, I guess I understand where you're trying to direct it.
Well, I'm just trying to, so we don't get, all of a sudden we'll be talking about, and we don't get to be here till 6 o'clock. We're not. But anyhow, I'm just saying, do you guys even think something like this even worth looking at? I mean, Kevin, I totally agree with you. We've been looking at this for years, and quite frankly, it's getting old.
I think it'd be worth looking at.
But I would definitely like you guys' opinion on what you think. I mean, yes, do I know that things have to be done to that old part of the new old part? Of course it does. But in my mind, that's how I thought. We know that the corner of the jail is sunk. Can that be fixed, Marion? You know it can be fixed. That can be jacked up. Of course it can be. But that's just how I was looking at it. And it was just thought. I just thought maybe the old part, new old part would maybe work for women. And the new addition would be men. I'm just using that scenario.
With some repairs in there.
Of course there is.
That building or the leveling issue, you're always going to have a roofing issue if you don't take care of that. I mean, that would be definitely need to be straightened out.
I just figured I could
repainting and some other stuff, but
get that jacked up and that building would have one roof line, and then I thought I could just put a different roof on top of that. Get all the stuff off the top of that new part. I've never agreed with a flat roof. I never will. So I just figured if I could put a roof across that to make it match to the other part. What do you think of that, Marion?
Well, there's no doubt that, I mean, if you put a separate shell up and get rid of the old jail out of there and put a new shell up, putting a whole new roof over the whole thing, whether it's even at the same level or not, it wouldn't have to be at the same level. But
right.
You could make it so tied together to where it looked aesthetically pleasing.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of flat roofs in north central South Dakota.
Also, I'll just throw in there too, this building that is in my mind, it's 24-foot sidewalls. The reason why I chose that is to go 2 levels with cells. I mean, maybe the length I got way too long, maybe 70 feet but that's what I'm saying. I just picked a number with what they had in their pamphlet. So I'm just saying.
Part of that 70 feet, Scott, will be taken up by some office, some booking, you know,
right.
And those areas yet, but I don't know what a person would all encompass in that, you know, but some of that would be taken up,
but I chose that height. I mean, everybody knows 24-foot sidewalls is a tall building, but I chose that for two stories. They stack on top of each other, but I mean, maybe that's wrong, but.
And I did bring up to Scott that we should go. There's a different person working down there right now in Huron. Spoke to him briefly in an email. He's willing to work with you guys and put something together and give us some, you know, just so we're working with updated information, and that's perfectly fine if you guys want to do that.
I totally agree with you, Kevin. We need to do something now. We know that. Everybody knows that. We need to do that right now. Yes.
I've never been opposed to checking things, but we need to act on it. I've always said from the beginning that building part is the cheapest part of anything. It's the operations part that kills you. Building part is cheap.
Well, that's
Even
right.
at $5 million, the building part is cheap.
It is still a lot of money, though.
I know it's a lot of money, but it's the 1.5 million a year it costs to run it. That's the the expensive part, because that part doesn't go away. You can pay that building off eventually. The operational part is the part that does not go away. And that's by far the most expensive part of this whole deal anyway. I've never been opposed to checking into, we've been to Huron, how many times?
Well, I've been there once. And they
I've
brought
been there
it up.
twice. And I don't know why we didn't do that in the first place. So instead we spend 60,000 on another one. Now I'm sure we're gonna have to get an engineer involved in this one too.
Well, I know that when I had talked to Leap, it sounded like he would, and there it is, it's more money again. But with that one idea he came up with, he figured I could go 6,000, that number's real close, that he would figure things. And whether or not, if anybody would even, maybe any architect would say, that's crazy what you're thinking. I don't know.
My point gets back to, what are we gonna do in the meantime?
Well, like Josh and I, we were talking, and we've all talked, I guess, most of us, and we all know what needs to be done. We know we gotta take the prisoners out of here. We can't keep sticking money in that building, that's crazy. It's crazy. So what do we, let's just cross the building. Do we want to pursue that idea, or what do we want to do?
I don't have a vote on the board, but I think you guys should. I think it's fiscally responsible for you guys to do that. To look at it and entertain the idea.
I would like to know ballpark number, what it would cost to add another 30 feet or 40 feet onto that building and not re-renovate the new part. By the time we figured mud jacking that up and renovating it.
I'd say mud jacking up. I'm sure, because I had talked to a guy out of Rapid City, probably about 5 years ago, on mud jacking a house. And I think it was roughly 10,000. That was.
I heard more, but I would kind of like to know.
10,000. That was that house is 42 by 28. It was 2 walls. So and that was out of Rapid City. But I mean, yeah, that was 6
Who
years
did we
ago.
use that last time? Was it Blackburn?
Could be, and
And
I don't need to comment. So
it how deep you go also on that jacking too, right? There's
yeah, because they're just going to put more concrete underneath it when it's done. Let's put it this way: there are. I mean, there. Like I said, that was.
I don't understand mud jack.
It was a company out of Rapid City that I called. So I mean, I don't. There again, Jim, I'm just going to say it. I don't believe it's what I would call a huge ticket item to do that. I don't. And does a guy tear up? To me, anybody knows that it's got to be on its last leg before I tear it down. But would it really be, honestly, just to mud jack that building? Is it really worth disposing of it?
I guess I think, just what Jim's saying there though, if you're gonna go down that path, what would it cost to add onto your building an extra 20, 30 feet or whatever it would be? Doze the whole thing down and start over from new. Because when you're starting to talk about adding an addition onto a building, and then you're gonna put a roof over that building, and you're gonna mud jack it up to get it back up to snuff, and you start putting remodeling and stuff inside that to bring everything up, kind of up to date.
But like, what are you talking about, meaning the new part there?
Yeah.
Cells are already there.
really only
Bathroom
one
is
cell
there.
that's worth saving, because you can't get to those other lockable ones without going through the main cell to use those other two cells.
But that's why I said, if a guy converted that over to the females over there, I mean, that's what I'm getting at.
I just think in that whole process, and that's easy enough to find out, I mean, you just have to ask the question, what's it gonna cost to mud jacket, what's it gonna cost to put a roof over that building, what's it gonna cost to put an extra 30 feet onto a new building? And then take all those numbers and say, okay, well, overall, it's cheaper just to take and doze the whole works down and put a new building up, or is it cheaper to put that mud jacking and put a roof over it?
Well, I'm just gonna say, I'm gonna guess by the time you would do both, you're gonna have to be $250,000 with all the concrete. I'm gonna say it'd be almost $250,000 to demo all of it.
I wouldn't doubt demo's not gonna be cheap on that.
Yeah. So that's why, to me, there's another, I don't think it's gonna cost you $150,000 to do something to that building rather than almost that much to demo it. I'm just looking at it, would it make sense to tear that building down when it can be fixed? Where, and then otherwise you tear it all out of there, the demolition? It's gonna, I bet I'm gonna be real close to that. It's gonna be total between the two, be real close to $250,000. So is it really worth taking that part out when, yeah, is there flaws in it? Hell yeah. But is it worth demoing it though?
Yeah, I mean, it's all gonna be a matter of, if you start mud jacking a building that has brick and stuff on it, it's already cracked because of settling. When you start bringing it back up, those cracks are going to show up worse, you know, on the outside of your stonework and different things like that. So, I mean, those are things that I think you guys gotta really look at. And somebody ought to be able to, and like I said, you're gonna spend money, but somebody ought to be able to put numbers together to tell you what that's gonna cost to do that. Versus putting an addition on to get your square footage footprint. I have no problem looking at those ideas. I think that's, I agree that we need to do something. And I guess originally that's what, when we talked about doing the transportation and doing the contract with Falk County, that was the possibility to give us that time frame. We know where we got to go with the inmates. It gives us the ability to look into that process and investigate those options.
And I know an outsider said this isn't anyone from the board, a citizen. They said, why can't you look at new jail portion, still utilizing the addition, but putting sheriff's offices in there? Right. I didn't have an answer, but that was just someone from the general public that wanted me to share that, and I said I would. You still have to do some stuff to the building.
Put sheriff's office in the current new part of the jail, you're saying?
The 99 edition, yeah. Sheriff's office is evidence and, yep, storage.
Well, we've never gotten to really answer what we really want to do there.
I guess I'll ask. I mean, I don't know whether it needs to be a motion, but I'm gonna ask that someone make a motion that we entertain that and put some preliminary stuff together and bring back and actually work on this and research it. I mean, if we don't do that, it's just gonna be stalled. It's gonna sit here, and I don't want to see that. I think it's a viable plan. if it don't work, it don't work. But we can call these different entities and get quotes. It's not, you're not bidding, you're looking for pricing, the possibility of pricing on something. Am I wrong on that, Ryan? They can do that?
Should be able to.
But that'd be my suggestion to the board.
Do you want me to investigate any further into that? If it's not something that the rest of the commission thinks even makes any sense, I mean, to me, then there ain't no sense going through the time.
Kind of back where we were 4 years ago. We're back where we were 4 years ago when I first came on here.
I know we are.
And at that time, I was taught build an addition back here and then run our jail until we got a new facility built. But, yeah, I would like to see some numbers on what it's gonna cost us to renovate that 99 addition. With the mold in the ceiling and the footings. Whether it'd be cheaper just to add another 30 feet onto a building. It doesn't cost a lot of money to add on to the end of a building. It costs more money to make it wider.
And the only other thing that I have to add on, this is a new idea that came up, and you know, I'll call it a compromise. I mean, I think it's worthwhile looking into. I really do. The only other homework that I have is stuff that we've gotten back from LEAP, but until I can't get a conceptual design to tell you how the pods or anything are going to set up without spending that $6,000. The first plan was a $5.8 million facility. It's not the 10.5 million. I said, can you scale this back? The 5.8 was a renovation with that whole part coming down with a brand new facility on it, and that being sheriff's offices. That would be renovated, the 99 addition for sheriff's offices. The idea and the reason I had them, per my phone call with Lee, the architect at the time, and engineering firm, excuse me, they, I said, I think the idea was to encompass and have it all jail beds. Does that make sense? So that's where I came up with the 5.4 million. We saved, you know, it knocked $400,000 off of it, so to speak, renovating that portion into actual jail beds, and then, but you're getting a new building also onto that. So the plan still has that addition on it. And that was, like I said, 5.8 million with the 99 addition renovated in sheriff's office, storage and evidence, with a brand new jail on it, with 36 to 38 beds. That's for that. But we showed them, it was just colored sketches. There's nothing to scale. That would get us there. I have no idea what design he's looking at as far as what the interior is going to look like, how booking's going to be set up, you know. So it's kind of hard to wrap your mind around just colored boxes. So that's as far as I've gone with it. This is another viable option.
Hey, Jim, just in the rough figures that I am, and like I said, I'm not an engineer and nobody like that, but I honestly believe, and is $2 million a lot of money? Hell yeah, it's a lot of money to me. I believe that we can do what I got in my head over there for way less than that. I honestly believe that.
the comparison to the 5.4 is what you're, okay.
Yes. And we can still have the exact same thing, but we don't have that big, yeah, we gotta pay. And I know, Kevin, you're right, that the easiest thing is to build a building, I know that. But we still gotta pay that back. Things gotta be done different. I understand that. And I know what we need to do in the meantime. I'm pretty sure everybody sitting in this room knows that. We gotta take our prisoners out of here. I'm afraid to say it. Yes, we do. But is it even something that we want to even look at? Or we move on to the next subject?
I'm not afraid of looking at it, but let's find out what it's gonna cost to look at it.
I think it's gonna be 6,000.
Who's doing that, Lee?
That's who would do it. But like I said, if you guys think it's a crazy idea, then even the 6,000 would be stupid. If you guys think it's a dumb idea. That's what I'm getting at.
Josh.
People just fall to jail.
32 then.
What was their cost in building that?
I don't think any of them, Kurt has ever said it. I know the county said, I think they let them spend 5. I think that's what they voted on was 5.
5 million, it was, I think, 5 to
Now whether or not they,
5.4. But they had some already sitting there, but, so.
like I said, I would just like to know if it's a crazy idea, if it's wasted money to even think of pursuing something like that. That's what I'm asking, so we can keep moving on.
Does Lee know anything about those pods down here?
Did you guys ever discuss it in the meeting? I don't know.
We did.
I've talked to him.
We just got dropped when we started doing our meetings.
Well, and
this other company in and said, you're gonna do it this way.
Well, and I think, if I remember right, and you guys can help me on this, wasn't it the cost between concrete and steel at the time?
I thought we
On
figured,
why we went-
I thought Sean figured here on the pods in that new facility.
Oh, I don't think so.
A portion of them, but I know he knows about the system, and he'll work with us.
I know Marski never ever, I jumped him many a times about it, he absolutely just went right over his head. On KGH or whatever. HKG. Somewhere.
And I know we all like those, and how they were set up. Main reasoning, all your plumbing and electrical, you don't have to go in and handle any of that. Everything's done from that rear chase. There's a rear chase system to it. Would they say 4 to 5 feet on it? Would you say?
That's with the pod system?
Yeah.
You just have sewer, water, everything in the backside of it. So they don't have to go inside, to do some of that stuff.
Let's not let it die though, please.
What's the, I mean, if we did go that direction, again, getting back to what Kevin was saying, it's the cost of the building is one thing that we know will get paid for relatively fast. The cost of operating the building, I mean, can we operate the thing? Can we get that price down if we're just dealing with our own inmates? Because
if that's what we're gonna do, is house our own, and not have anything, I mean, I'll entertain the idea, But right now, you know, it's very crucial to have them properly supervised. You
I know, that's what my point is if we can do the transport, and we can do that for transport and housing for around $550,000, can you run that jail for $550,000 a year?
Not without county revenue. Not with outside revenue coming in, I can't. It'd be literally impossible. I would, the best case scenario would be to, you know, which I think would be fiscally responsible, and it's been, you know, and it's been going on for 20 years, better. Even if we cut that operation cost in half, you know, it's on $1 million budget, $500,000 to us, and outside revenue sources are $500,000 on that operations. I think that's fiscally responsible to the taxpayers. That, I mean, they're not. Yes, the budget. I mean, the budget's there because we got to have that set in order to operate. But
we've only had 1 year where we've had outsourced income of even close to $500,000. So I mean, if you take that off a $1 million operation budget, yeah, that gets us down to about $500,000. My point is, if we can operate this thing, and I have absolutely no problem putting up a new facility, putting up a jail for our own inmates, if we can operate that thing for basically even remotely close to what we can ship them out of here. Because we've got a contract right now that we basically are looking at with housing and transportation possibilities for around $550,000 for our inmates. Now, my point is, if we can house our own inmates and we can operate that thing for $550,000, we would be foolish not putting up a building and doing it for ourselves. But if it's going to be a $1.3 million operation and to house our own, or $1.1 million operation to house our own inmates, that's where I don't see the financial responsibility of putting up a facility to do that.
Here's what would be my suggestion. Find out what it's gonna cost for them to get us figures for the building. Same time, if you can go back and maybe refigure what the operational deal of the 32-bed facility would be, and then we'll address it again in the next meeting. Or we can get the jail committee back together and run everything through the jail committee again first.
I don't think our numbers are going to change that much, whether we have a 70-bed facility or 32-bed, because 90% of our cost is personnel. And so if you want to go down less than 3 personnel per shift or manage that better, like you said, that's the whole cost, is the operation, is the personnel. If we are going to man it with less personnel, then you're going to, I mean, that's the question you got to answer. Are we going to do it with less personnel rather than even, that's your first question.
That's what I was getting at.
We had, let's say we had, just using the number, 30-bed facility. How many people would you have to staff over there?
What are we doing? I mean, 30-bed facility just for ours?
Well, I'm talking about, let's say it's full of 3.
They're going to be running their butts off. You'll have to have 3 over there to properly supervise them.
With the 15 you have now then, you're saying?
Correct.
The whole thing is going to be whether you want to follow the federal guidelines or not. If you don't want to follow the federal guidelines, you can run it with as little people as you want. If you want to follow the federal guidelines, there isn't going to be any flexibility. So South Dakota doesn't have any. We've kind of defaulted to what the federal guidelines are. So it's that's the whole question. Because you can definitely run on less staff. It's just, do you want to increase the liability if it's which is what's the issue.
If we're not gonna take in US Marshals or federal inmates, do we need to follow federal guidelines? I mean, is that something that's
That hasn't been answered, that's the whole problem.
The thing of it is, if there's a lawsuit, you know, federal and case law is gonna come back in and into play in that lawsuit if one were to occur. And it's happened in the state. I mean, it's mostly case law, what's been out there. So I mean, no, you don't have to, but that case law is you're gonna get dinged on it, and you're more than likely gonna get found at fault for not even meeting minimum standard. And minimum standard is being set through case law. That's what's changing a lot of stuff and dictating a lot of stuff. Which is, case law is suits that are out there have occurred and there's been determinations done. So, through a court.
But there's been nothing out there that says that we have to have 3 staff on. There's nothing out there that it says in South Dakota that's what the minimum standard is. There is nothing out there because we're such a tiny state, we don't have a lot of these issues pop up. Like a state like California, New York that has, 60, 70 million people. It's just the unknown, and I don't have an answer for you.
so what do we do in the meantime in investigating these things?
Well, if I want to ask Dwayne something, when did they change over to double, having 2 staff? Because there for a while they did run with 1. Did that?
I've had two on since I was sheriff in 99.
For your 15, 16 years.
Yeah.
And Jim had 1 on a lot of the time. Spirey at the time. But that's just not safe, you guys. I mean, something happens or there's no backup one. There's, right now it's policy procedure. 1 has to be able to call for help and get people in there. Because right now, I mean, with 3 staffing, 1's in there, there's backup for the other one, and until help gets there, a lot of things can happen. Travis lives across the street, I live 2 blocks away. We can get here fairly quick, but even 5 minutes, a lot of things happen in seconds. So that's what concerns me. That's what I don't want to happen. I don't want anything to happen. So we can rerun those and look at them. And I told myself that, if just having 3 in there, I mean, I don't know if that makes sense to you guys or not, how I explain that with the 2. We did it, yeah, we did it. We did it to get by. And then we went through this whole thing last year, and Kevin and Jim, you sat on that committee and whatnot, and there was things that were suggested that we do different, and we did our best to comply with those. Some of those are facility related that we can't change without changing the structure. Some policy procedure stuff, some of it with some training, some of it was just, like I said, staffing, which is where we added that, which put the cost up there because we added 5 people to get up to, we went from 10 to 15. So that was a significant cost increase to the budget. I can try and rework some stuff. Like I said, there's time. The jail population goes all over the place. I mean, it's not a steady. We had that 11.1, 11 for ADP, average daily population for our own. But, like I said, it's, we can, one day we could have 6 arrests, all of a sudden we're up to 14. We've been as high as 24 of our own. So I mean, you just don't know where those numbers are. They don't stay in, some bond out, some can't bond out, they stay over at court, they may get a PR bond Monday, the judge PR'd one out, the rest of them stayed in this last Monday. And, you know, so I guess several things to look at, but I can certainly do that, Kevin, on your request.
Okay, then one of you asked, what are we gonna do in the meantime? What do we wanna do in the meantime? What we know has to be done.
My suggestion is to accept 2 contracts, one with Mobridge and one with Fort County.
You gotta go.
If that wouldn't have interrupted you.
Looking at a date,
Last year.
That's 19 or 18 calendar.
And you're tall.
It needs to be turned, but not tall enough.
I'm not standing on a swivel chair with wheels.
Exactly.
I'll make a motion that we accept both contracts effective April 1st.
I would do separate contracts.
Okay. We're just gonna talk the first contract right away.
Do separate.
Neither contract is on the
We're
agenda.
talking Falk County right now.
Pardon?
Can you do it all if neither contract is on the agenda?
No. You can say, get your planning and stuff, but you can't make a motion on it since it's not on there, but you can say, is this what we want to do, and then make it official next meeting. On those contracts, Kurt Hall called me, he's the sheriff in Falk County. There's several things on there. One is, they have a list of things where they won't accept prisoners. One of them is the blood alcohol that's over .30. We have those all the time. We also have people who come in that are high on controlled substances. They don't want to take those either, so we get those all the time. They will not take mental health issues, so we need to find an alternative for that. There was a whole list of things that that they will not accept a prisoner for, and the 2 big ones that I saw were people who are extremely intoxicated with alcohol and under the influence of illegal drugs. So you're going to have to make an alternative for that. Also with, the other thing is we need to put in there that what standard they're going to be held to with regard to number of staff, etc. Or we're not getting rid of any liability. It's actually making it worse. If they're not going to follow the rules that we're following, we're still going to be exposed. Also, the other thing that they did not think about is if the prisoner gets bonded out, say after they've been arrested in Falk County, are they going to get released on the street in Falk County? And they didn't think about that. I'll tell you right now, as soon as someone gets released in Faulkton from the Falk County Jail for a Walworth County resident, and they walk into one of the stores or the vilest drugs, steal liquor, and get drunk, which happens to us all the time, within hours. When people getting released, that's going to be a problem. That's something they didn't even think about. With the contract for City of Mobridge, the sheriff still has the right to transport prisoners to and from court. So you're still going to have to make arrangements for that too. Those are just some of your issues.
So there's a mentally ill person, Walk County doesn't even want.
They have a list of what they'll reject people for. So we do involuntary committals, just like you saw with Brenda. Somebody coming over from another county, we have the largest medical facility, they bring them here, they belong to us. Now, if we can't get them into a mental health facility or something, where are we going to house them? Because the hospital isn't going to take them. They'll call us. The Walk County doesn't want them because, of course, they don't want the liability issue of it. Because, again, you got suicide issues, you've got violence issues, you've got possible intoxication issues. So where are those people going to go? Also, where are the people whose blood alcohol is over 0.3 going to go? They will not take them. And we get those all the time. And then also the people under the influence, where are they going to go? Because methamphetamine is the drug of choice now. I would say a third of our people, probably not a third, maybe 15% come in under the influence where they can refuse them.
What do we currently do with mental?
We house them here until we can get them somewhere else, to Yankton or to, whether it's a mental health or, and then also the intoxicated people that are on involuntary holds too. We house them until we get them somewhere else.
As part of the committal process, it all depends if it's a call that we respond to, or an ambulance brings them in, and it's the hospital calls me, we got an involuntary committal. We temporarily house them until the eval, the alcohol, everything's out of their system, because you can't do an eval until they're of sound mind. Well, they have mind-altering substances on board, being the alcohol and or drugs. So therefore, that could be a day, a full 24 hours before we can get that person down to where the evaluator. We do work with an evaluator that comes directly to the jail right now, but they are housed, and then they're transported out as soon as that evaluation is done, and the mental health chairman approves it. He's got to do the order for detention and transport, which is our backup is Attorney John Von Wald, and our main one is Brandon Tolliver out of Aberdeen. And that's all communicated through text message and or email. And sometimes you can't get a hold of them either. So the paperwork may well be done. I can't take them anywhere until I have that order. So now I'm detaining them in the facility, watching them until I hear back from Brandon, which is usually the next morning, and he gets me the order.
Now, Kevin, did you ever read anything on that contract? I mean, they never said nothing about it.
When I talked to Kurt, he said, I said, Kurt, what about these issues? And he's like, we have a list of our rejects, what we will not take prisoners for. So he emailed that to me. Or actually, he faxed me a copy of what they will not take things for, because I said, Kurt, there's some things on this contract that's not even being addressed, especially who you're going to reject. Because we have extremely high numbers of intoxicated people and extremely under the influence of alcohol people. We get 3-0s in all the time, or higher.
I know they didn't say nothing when I was down there. Because we didn't talk contract, but.
I don't think he thought that far into it. The other thing is the other thing that he did not think about is are we just going to bond them out from Falk County and let them get back to Walworth County or wherever they're from? Or are they somebody going to transport them back here once they're bonded out? It's a whole other issue.
I know, I talked to Kurt, we was gonna pick them up and bring them back here.
And Falk County was going to do that, or is
We was gonna go down, pick them up and bring them back here.
Who was?
Whoever we decide for a transport agency. We talked about not just dropping people off on the streets down there.
Well, he didn't seem to.
I know we
I've
talked about it.
anticipated it, so. You guys decide
And the
whatever.
same,
It's
same
gonna
thing
be a-
happens with juveniles, and they have certain things they won't hold juveniles on either.
And I guess if I'm gonna get criticized for telling you the problems, you guys deal with the contracts.
No, I'm just saying that.
No, but
I
that
talked to
doesn't,
him.
Kevin, we've been going over this over and
I
over.
know,
this,
we've
and I
been
get-
talking about this for 4 years and nothing's been done.
That's right, but what I'm saying is when I tell you the potential problems and I bring them up, it's not like I'm bringing them up to be problematic and then I get criticized for it, like you said.
I'm not trying to criticize you. I'm
But you
just
are,
saying.
you are. And it's like, guys, I'm not trying to be a pain in the butt here, I'm just trying to avoid problems because as soon, and this is specifically what I told Kurt Hall, as soon as someone walks out of that Fauquier County Jail and walks into Vilas Drug in Faulkton and steals a bottle of liquor and gets drunk and goes to the library, which has happened 2 or 3 times in Mobridge, the citizens of Faulkton are gonna call and they're gonna want to have them prisoners out. You know that as well as I do, because they don't want Fauquier County prisoners running around Faulkton. And I told them that specifically, so, but it's like, guys, I'm just trying to tell you what the problems are here. I don't like being, it's like, well, this is the way it is, and we've already talked about it.
Okay.
If you want me to explain the problems to you and the issues, I will, but if not, don't ask me questions and don't give me paperwork to deal with, because that's how it's been.
Okay, what would we do then if they don't accept people who are 3? I guess this must be news to you because,
Yeah, it
you
is.
know, they never said anything like that
Totally
when I went down there, but, okay, what would we do?
What does Corson County do if we wouldn't accept somebody?
Ask Josh. I mean, I don't know.
We never.
Yeah, how can we
not-
not accept anybody?
I just, if they have, they're medically cleared before we take them, before we bring them over. Seen by, through the emergency room, but they're not staying there.
But what I'm getting at is, if Fauquier County says we're not taking the mentally, the alcohol over 3, I said, what are we gonna do then?
We'll have to find somebody that will.
Is this something that we can revisit with them about and get the contract? Some things added in there or switched or changed?
Hopefully we can.
I mean, if you don't know anything about it, I mean.
I've been down there 2 or 3 times already.
You got one?
I've got a copy. I just find it amazed that we accept these guys, and yet these other jails won't accept them. If that's the case, why do we accept them? From other counties.
Where do they're mostly ours that I get them, so.
Not if they're coming across from, I mean, how many people are brought across from the BIA that comes in, not BIA, but just Corson County, comes in the hospital, they get brought in because of drunks. I was just talking to one of the doctors last night, Mobridge, we get so many drunk people coming into the county or to the hospital, and where are they gonna go with them? We got no drunk tanks. We just need to put up a big old steel building and throw them in there until they're done. But I mean, if these other jails aren't accepting them, why, or what are we going to do? Why are we accepting them? Why are we putting our liability out on the maximum end of things?
Don't yell at me.
I'm just asking the question.
No, you're getting pretty loud at me there. I'm not trying to argue with you.
No, I'm sorry. I'm just asking a question. Why are we accepting them and these other county jails don't have them?
Let's take a 10-minute break right now. I'll call the meeting back to order. Okay, I guess now, what do we want to do now? I'll just put it out there. I don't know how we could take anybody to Faulkton, because that list pretty much rules us out. I would put it black and white.
I didn't, I just had the one copy. You can
No,
make
that's
copies
fine.
if you want.
What do you got with that?
The contract on its face is not that bad of a deal. It's just other things, especially like the list of what we will not take. And you probably should, why don't you make copies of that, please, Becky? So, and I'm talking to Commissioner Schlomer, they didn't know anything about that, which is something you guys should have been told in the beginning. And the only reason I found that out is because I called them and asked them, because I knew we had those problems. Well, you guys wouldn't know that, that people come in that drunk, or people come in that intoxicated, or females come in intoxicated and pregnant. And everything that we're talking about in the break is we do get a lot of that. And it's just because of where we live. That's the fact of life. And that's one of the reasons why I think we've always had a jail, is because we're an unusual county. Because of the level of crime and problems that we do have. And I would assume that's something that Fauquier County didn't even think about, because they don't have those types of problems. I mean, a person with a blood alcohol over 0.3 would kill most of you. We deal with that every day.
I'm not about to go find out either.
Wouldn't you say, Sheriff Moore?
What's that?
0.3 blood alcohol is gonna kill the average person, or pretty dang close.
That's pretty mild, and they still walk pretty good.
But those are the seasoned ones that you wouldn't even know that they were that intoxicated. That's because that's their level of alcoholism is that bad. But on a normal person, it would be a serious.
You get double, 16 or 24 have trouble walking.
I'll wait till Becky gets that copy. I don't know, did you read some of that, Davis?
No.
Some of that stuff you may be able to negotiate with them, but that's what they sent me. When I asked them about specific things barring their delivery of prisoners.
What do we do with our juveniles?
What we do now, Pier, Aberdeen, we had to take one assistant.
But they don't take them if they're...
That's a case by case, same thing, same issue.
Yes, Dwayne.
The only thing I'm wondering right now is why you're so concerned about a contract with Fulton when you don't know whether you're going to build or not. This may go on another year where you're going to be using this jail. I'd be concerned about a contract once you tear down that first brick on the other building. Then you know you've got to move them. But as long as you're still using this, why do a contract? You're still holding them here.
Well, go ahead.
The idea of the contract was to know that we had a place to go with our inmates, instead of trying to figure out where we're going to transport them when that time comes.
But it sounded like you wanted to start doing it now.
And that was the idea, so we could look into the possibility of doing a remodel and looking at tearing that part down.
But that could take another year.
Well, it's going to take that long to even get in the building process.
So why would you want to start hauling prisoners a whole year in advance?
Get rid of our liability as much as we can.
You're still got the same liability down there.
No, we don't. Not with that facility.
Your prisoners are the same liability whether they're in here or down there. They're still your prisoners.
I understand that, but we don't have a building that's going to fall in on them over here.
You had a commissioner that always said one thing we have on our side is time.
I was just looking at it too, as quit spending money here on something that's all I was looking at.
But you
My
need
intentions were
the
to
decision
start
needs to be made what kind of a building's going to get put up. You need a building.
Did you make a copy of the prisoners we won't take? That was the main thing I was going for. Yeah, the rest of the contract is not that problematic. It's the stuff that's not addressed in there. And then you have what I've highlighted in my notes on there. Just look back.
Well, what's the commission feeling on reading some of this stuff? I guess to put it just right out there, I don't see how, to me, the way it looked with that, Falk County doesn't want a prisoner from here, probably from anywhere, their own. What's the rest of you feeling?
I guess we're gonna have to go back to Falk County and see. This was never brought up in our other ones, except for a couple of them have been, but this list was never brought up when we talked to them initially. These are the issues we have. What's your opinion? If you look at number 12 on the contract, that there may, from time to time, be circumstances surrounding a special needs prisoner which could significantly impact the liability of all parties involved. Work together in such ways to minimize the potential for dispute. Find a reasonable solution that protects the interests of both Falk County and the contracting company. So we'll see if these fall under that. Deal with it on a case-by-case basis, or what we do.
Well, what do we want to do? Do we want to look into my idea, or what do we want to do?
Look into your idea.
I'm not gonna make no bones about it. I'm not looking at spending $10 million, and I'm not looking at spending $5 million either. I'm just gonna tell you that. I wanna have a facility for us, but I don't wanna spend a ton of money either, that I can tell you. So we need to make a decision what we wanna do. We're not gonna sit here till 6 o'clock. See how we can sign anything with Fall County. This, I believe that they need to be talked to, because that list there pretty much sums it all up for us.
I would say we need to look into your proposal again and get some numbers.
Like I said, that's all I did, is I just was pounding in my head. I just wanted to get a rough idea of something. My idea would be a starting price.
Yep. Scott, do you need a motion to approve a certain amount if you ask Lee to do that and the cost is $5,800 to $6,000? To work with that.
What do you guys want to do over here? I've heard that side. Kevin, Marion, what do you? It's obvious you gotta go talk to Fall County, but do you want me to talk to Leap and see once? Maybe he'll say you're crazy. We're already into that contract, kind of that builder so much already, engineer that.
I guess if there's a way of getting a price, or I think we gotta set a limit on what we're wanting to spend on just to give a price.
Well, that's what we said. Leap had first said that when he gave that little proposal of just that 5.4, 5.8, that he would, for I think it was 6,000 or 5,500, it was on one of them two, that he would change. Now, whether or not he would change to my idea, hell, I don't know. And maybe he'd say no. I don't know. He's not calling and asking that.
I guess in my mind, just like Jim says, we're back to the same spot we was 4 years ago.
No, but we didn't know we had this either.
Oh, I know. Guess you can see what it's gonna cost, and we'll go back to Fall County and address these issues and bring it back to the table next meeting.
And I'll bring my stuff back that you asked for to rerun those. At your request, that's fine.
So you're saying ask Leap if he would do it for that? Work that up?
Mr. Martin, was that a motion that you were going to go with, or you were just supporting?
I'll make that a motion. Can we do that if it's not on the agenda?
It's not on the agenda, so realistically, I mean, you can have an agreement that, yeah, we'll go ahead and if it's at a certain amount, but it's not gonna bind anyone. And it's not on the agenda, so. It would have to, I mean, it's an expenditure. You should have it on the bills or in the,
Nope, that's fine.
on the agenda.
Well, then I'll just put it this way. I'll talk to Leap and I'll ask him if he'd even consider it without costing any money to the county for me talking to him about it. If that's all right with you guys then.
That's fine. Yeah.
See if you can get a figure.
I will now, just tell him.
To bring back, and then it can be put on and possibly motioned on and approved, possibly, at next meeting.
Tell him to think real hard and he can get in my head. No comment. Well, then let's move on to the next thing then. Kevin, you guys are gonna go back and talk to Falk? Correct?
I would imagine. Maybe Josh, you wanna talk to him too?
I can go along with you guys if you want me to. A couple of us, who went last time? I didn't know last time. You can all three go, I mean.
Well, something needs to get
whichever.
checked into.
That works for me.
Next item, John.
Consider motion to sign Evans County Jail boarding contract. That's that's a contract we've always signed. It's basically emergency bed space only. I haven't had to utilize the bed space, but it's a contract there if we need it, is what that is.
Okay, I need a motion for that.
I so move.
Okay, I got a motion on the floor. I need a second.
A second.
Got a second. Any more discussion?
How much is that contract?
It's for us to house there, it's $65 per day.
Very small facility.
Do they meet all the NCIS standards there?
Nope.
No. It's in the bottom of their courthouse. They say it's a emergency bed space only, so.
I guess it's very small, isn't it?
Yes. Six beds.
Yeah, something like that.
And that's 2 set aside for, so 4, I believe 4 for male and 2 for female.
Any other discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Yes. Okay, number 26, consider motion to update personnel policy.
There were a couple things that were requested of me to change in the personnel policy manual. One of them would be section 6.5. As far as the health savings account deposit by the county is concerned, the county contribution. Becky just thought, and I agree with her, that trying to do all of that and by the first working day of the year is a little bit much to ask, considering all the manual entry that has to be done in order to achieve that. So I changed it to by the end of the first business week of the year. And I mean, I don't think that should affect anybody too greatly, and it'll take a lot of strain off of her office, just because I've seen the amount of work that goes into doing that, and it's a little tough to try and get it done when you have a whole bunch of other stuff going on that first business day of the year. And the other one, section 5.3, standard work day. There was a clause in there for highway department employees to get administrative leave in the event that they were called out outside of their regular working schedule. So this would be like on a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday when they're not scheduled to work those days. They would basically receive 1 hour of admin leave for every hour that they work. So in essence, you're getting double time. And I believe correct me if I'm wrong, the reason that we wanted this change is that that would be a special rule that only applies to that certain department, and it's not exactly fair to the other departments in the county.
Okay, can we gotta do the motion all at one or
I
separate?
think we can do it all at once, just approve both changes.
Okay, I'll take a motion for that.
I so moved.
Okay, got a motion on the floor, I need a second.
I'll say that.
A second, any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no, nay. Motion passed. '27, old business.
Are we gaining anything on the culvert issue?
Yep.
Slowly but surely.
Any other old business?
Anything happening with translator district yet, or?
No.
Anything else? New business.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, got a motion on the floor, I need a second. Second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carried.